The night was dark, and the sky heavy with thick rolling clouds. A fierce storm was coming, and the wind howled through the trees like a wild animal. Emma stood near her small farmhouse, looking at the horizon. The rain had not started yet, but the air was cold and tense. She could feel something was about to happen. Suddenly, she heard a soft, desperate knock at the barn door. Curious and worried, she opened it slowly. There, barely able to stand, was a man, a cowboy. He was soaked, hurt, and trembling. His clothes were torn, and his face showed pain and fear. Emma's heart immediately softened. Without asking questions, she helped him inside the barn, closing the door against the growing storm. She moved quickly to bring blankets and some warm water. The cowboy's breathing was shallow, and he looked like he might faint. Emma's hands were gentle but sure as she cleaned the dirt and blood from his wounds. The storm outside grew louder, rain hitting the roof in heavy sheets. The barn was their small shelter against the wild night. Emma noticed the cowboy's eyes. They were full of secrets and sorrow. She asked him who he was, but he only shook, his head refusing to speak much. The only words he whispered were, "Don't trust anyone. They are after me." Emma's mind raced. Who could be chasing this man? Why was he hiding? She wanted to help, but she also felt a strange fear. The storm's wild sound outside mixed with the silence between them. The cowboy closed his eyes and seemed to fall into a troubled sleep. Emma sat near him, listening to the rain and wondering what her life had become. A simple night had turned into something far more dangerous and mysterious. The next morning, the storm had passed, leaving the world wet and shiny. Emma woke up early and looked at the cowboy, who was still weak but awake. He seemed tired but grateful for her kindness. As he sat up, Emma noticed a small leather pouch in his coat pocket. Carefully, she took it out and opened it. Inside were old papers and a torn photograph of a large ranch house surrounded by green fields. The sight made Emma's heart beat faster. Was this cowboy someone important? Did these papers mean something valuable? Before she could ask, the cowboy told her his name was Luke. He explained that he came from a big family that owned a huge amount of land, but many people wanted to take it away from him. He had run away to escape those who wanted to hurt him and steal what was rightfully his. Emma listened carefully, her mind filling with questions and concern. She wanted to believe him, but wondered if there was more to the story. Days passed, and Emma and Luke grew closer. She helped him recover, and he shared more of his past bit by bit. He told her about his family's ranch, the fights over land, and the enemies who did not want him to succeed. Emma admired Luke's courage, but she also worried about the danger that seemed to follow him. One evening, while they were talking near the fire, Emma heard a noise outside. Shadows moved in the dark, and her heart jumped. She told Luke, and he stood quickly, ready to defend them both. Suddenly, a group of men appeared near the edge of the property. They were strangers, wearing rough clothes and looking serious. Emma felt fear, but she also felt a strong need to protect Luke. The men demanded to see Luke and the papers he carried. Emma stepped forward bravely, refusing to let them enter the barn. Luke stood beside her, his eyes sharp and calm. The strangers warned that they were coming for the land, but Emma's courage did not shake. That night, Emma understood that her life had changed forever. What started as a quiet evening had turned into a battle for survival. She did not know what the future held, but she was ready to fight alongside Luke. Together, they would face the danger and try to keep the land safe. The storm had brought more than rain. It had brought a new chapter in Emma's life, one filled with mystery, courage, and hope. And as the stars shone faintly through the clouds, Emma held Luke's hand, feeling that whatever happened next, they would face it together. The morning sun rose slowly, casting soft light over the quiet farm. Emma was already awake, her thoughts busy with the events of the night before. Luke was resting, still weak but stronger than yesterday. She quietly prepared some breakfast, hoping to bring comfort to the man who had trusted her with his secret. The farm felt peaceful, but Emma knew the danger was still close. As Luke ate, he began to explain more about his family's history. He said his family owned thousands of acres of land, rich with valuable resources and beautiful fields. But many powerful people wanted to take that land by force or trickery. Luke had escaped to protect himself and the papers that proved his ownership. Emma listened closely, feeling a mixture of sympathy and fear. Suddenly, a loud knock came at the farmhouse door. Emma froze. She looked at Luke, who quickly hid the papers in his coat. Emma opened the door slowly and saw a tall man in a dark coat. His face was serious, and his eyes sharp. He introduced himself as Mr. Collins, a lawyer sent to find Luke and help him claim his land. Emma felt relief but also suspicion. How could she know if this man was really there to help, or if he was another enemy in disguise? Mr. Collins spoke kindly and said Luke's family wanted him to come home and take control of the ranch. He promised protection and support. Luke seemed unsure, but the hope in his eyes was clear. Later that day, Emma and Luke walked through the fields around the farm. The green grass swayed in the light breeze and birds sang softly in the trees. Luke showed Emma places he remembered from his childhood, the old oak tree, the small creek, and the barn where he once worked with his father. The farm felt alive with memories and dreams. Emma asked Luke if he would return to his family's ranch soon. He nodded but said it was not that simple. Many dangers still waited, and the people who wanted his land were powerful and cruel. Emma felt a heavy weight in her heart. She wanted to protect Luke, but she also wanted to believe in a future where they could both be safe and happy. That night, as they sat by the fire, Luke pulled out the papers again. He showed Emma the legal documents, the old maps, and letters from his family. Emma studied them carefully, feeling the importance of what Luke carried. She realized that the fight for the land was bigger than just one man. It was about family, trust, and courage. Suddenly, Luke told Emma about a secret he had not shared before. There was a hidden part of the ranch, a place where his family kept their most valuable treasure. If they could find it, it would give Luke the power to protect the land forever. But the treasure was guarded by old traps and secrets that only Luke could solve. Emma's heart raced. She knew their journey was only beginning. Together, they would have to find the treasure, face the enemies, and fight for what was rightfully Luke's. The storm had passed, but the real battle was yet to come, and Emma was ready to stand by Luke no matter what the future held. The next morning, Emma woke early, her mind restless with thoughts of the secret treasure Luke had mentioned. The sun was just starting to rise, painting the sky with soft colors. Luke was already up, packing a small bag with supplies for their journey. He looked determined, but tired. Emma knew this trip would be dangerous, but she felt a strong need to help him. Before they left, Luke showed Emma a worn map that had been passed down through his family for generations. It marked the location of the hidden treasure deep inside the ranch's woods. The path was filled with dangers, thick forests, old traps, and wild animals. But Luke believed that with careful planning, they could find the treasure and secure Luke's future. As they stepped outside, the fresh morning air was crisp and clean. Birds chirped in the trees, and the farm was quiet except for the soft sounds of their footsteps. Emma held the map tightly, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. This was more than just a journey. It was a test of trust and courage. The first part of the forest was peaceful, with tall trees reaching to the sky. Emma and Luke walked slowly, watching carefully for any signs of danger. Luke pointed out markings on the trees, old signs left by his ancestors to guide the way. The deeper they went, the darker and thicker the forest became. Shadows grew long, and the air felt colder. Suddenly they heard a strange noise, the snapping of a twig underfoot. Emma froze, and Luke pulled her behind a large tree. They waited quietly, their hearts pounding. Out of the shadows stepped a man in dark clothes. He looked rough and dangerous. Emma's mind raced. Was this one of the enemies who wanted Luke's land? The man didn't speak, but held up his hands in peace. He introduced himself as Sam, an old friend of Luke's family who had come to help. Emma wasn't sure if she could trust him, but Luke seemed to believe him. Sam warned them that the people chasing Luke were growing closer, and they had to move fast. As they continued, the path became more difficult. They crossed streams, climbed rocky hills, and avoided hidden traps. Emma was scared but kept going, inspired by Luke's bravery. They finally reached a clearing where a large oak tree stood. Luke said this was the entrance to the secret place where the treasure was hidden. Luke carefully examined the tree and found a small hidden door covered with moss. He pushed it open, revealing a dark tunnel leading underground. Emma felt a chill, but followed him inside. The tunnel was narrow and damp, with old wooden beams supporting the walls. They moved slowly, listening for any sounds of danger. At the end of the tunnel, they found a small chamber filled with old chests and boxes. Luke's eyes shone with hope as he opened one chest after another, searching for the treasure. Finally, in the last chest, they found it, a collection of old gold coins, family documents, and a small key. Luke held the key tightly and explained that it opened a safe on the ranch with even more valuable items. This treasure would help him protect his land in future. Emma smiled, proud of their success, but aware that their challenges were not over. As they left the secret chamber, they heard voices and footsteps above ground. Their enemies had found them. Emma and Luke exchanged a quick glance. There was no time to waste. Together with Sam, they prepared to face the danger head-on. The real fight to save the ranch had begun. The sound of voices grew louder as Emma, Luke, and Sam hurried through the forest, clutching the treasure and the key tightly. Their footsteps barely made a sound on the soft ground, but they knew their pursuers were close. The trees that once gave them comfort now felt like a trap closing in on them. Emma's heart pounded fast, but she kept her face calm, knowing Luke and Sam depended on her courage. They reached a small clearing where an old, broken-down barn stood. Luke looked at Emma and said, "This is the place. We can hide there until we figure out our next move." They slipped inside, shutting the creaky wooden door behind them. The barn was dark and smelled of hay, but it was safe for now. Emma's eyes adjusted to the dim light, and she saw old tools and empty crates scattered around. Suddenly, the sound of heavy footsteps and shouting came from outside. Emma pressed her back against the wall, trying to stay quiet. Luke whispered, "They're looking for us. We can't stay here long." Sam nodded. "We need to find a way out before they break in." Emma's mind raced. She spotted a small window near the roof, just big enough to climb through. "That's our way out," she said. Luke and Sam helped her climb up first. Once she was safe outside, she looked back and saw Luke follow closely behind. Sam stayed inside a moment longer, holding back their enemies. Outside, the forest was alive with the sounds of the storm approaching. Dark clouds covered the sky, and the wind began to howl through the trees. Emma and Luke ran through the woods, using the shadows to hide. The treasure in Luke's bag felt heavier with every step, but they could not stop. As they ran, Emma noticed the sky growing darker, and the first drops of rain began to fall. "We need shelter fast," she said. Luke spotted an old cabin nearby and led Emma to it. They hurried inside, slamming the door shut just as the storm broke loose. The rain hammered on the roof, and thunder roared above them. Inside the cabin, they were safe for the moment, but the tension was thick. Luke looked at Emma and said, "Thank you for trusting me. Without you, I wouldn't have made it this far." Emma smiled softly but didn't say much. She felt a deep connection to Luke, but she also knew the road ahead would be hard. Suddenly, the door creaked open slightly. Both of them turned to see who was there. To their surprise, it was an old woman with kind eyes. She stepped inside quietly and said, "I've been waiting for you. I know about the treasure, and I want to help." Emma and Luke exchanged uncertain looks but listened as the woman explained that she was a guardian of the land. She had protected the ranch and its secrets for many years. She warned them that the enemies chasing Luke were dangerous and would not give up easily. The woman handed Luke a small, worn book. "This will help you unlock the full power of the treasure," she said. "But remember, true strength is not in gold, but in trust and courage." As the storm raged outside, Emma and Luke prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The fight to save the ranch was far from over, but now they had new hope and new allies. Together, they would uncover secrets, face dangers, and protect the land that meant everything to them. The morning sun peeked through the clouds, casting a soft light over the wet forest. Emma woke up feeling the chill from the storm that had passed during the night. She stretched and looked around the small cabin. Luke was already awake, sitting by the window and staring outside. The old woman had gone quietly after giving them the book, leaving a calm but serious silence in the room. Emma walked over and asked, "What's our next step?" Luke opened the worn book and flipped through its pages. "This book is full of clues," he said. "It talks about the history of the land and the treasure. But it's written in riddles. We have to solve them if we want to protect everything." They studied the book. Emma felt a mix of excitement and fear. The treasure was more than just gold. It was part of a bigger mystery connected to the ranch's past. Suddenly, a loud noise outside made them jump. Emma ran to the door and looked out. A group of strangers was arriving at the cabin, moving carefully but with clear purpose. "They found us," Luke said quietly. "We need to act fast." Emma grabbed a few old tools from the cabin, a rusty shovel and a heavy hammer, while Luke prepared to protect the book. Together they hid the treasure map inside a secret compartment under the floorboards. The strangers knocked on the door. Their leader called out, "We know you're in there. Give us the treasure and we won't hurt you." Emma's hands shook, but she stepped forward. "This land means more than treasure to us," she said firmly. "We won't let you take it." A tense moment passed. Then the strangers tried to force the door open. Emma and Luke fought back with everything they had, their courage stronger than their fear. The old cabin shook with the struggle, but Emma's heart stayed strong. She remembered the old woman's words. True strength is in trust and courage. Just when it seemed like the strangers would break in, a loud sound came from the forest. A group of ranchers, led by the old woman, appeared with ropes and tools. They helped Emma and Luke fight off the attackers. The strangers, surprised and outnumbered, finally retreated into the woods. After the fight, Emma and Luke sat on the cabin steps, catching their breath. Luke smiled and said, "We can't do this alone, but together we're stronger." Emma nodded, feeling hope for the first time in a long while. The treasure, the land, and their future were all tied together now, and nothing would stop them from protecting it. As the sun rose higher, Emma and Luke knew their journey was far from over. But with new friends by their side and courage in their hearts, they were ready to face whatever came next. The days that followed were filled with hard work and quiet determination. Emma and Luke, along with the other ranchers, rebuilt the cabin and made plans to protect the land from any future threats. The treasure was safe, hidden beneath the earth, waiting for the right time to reveal its secrets. But more important than the treasure was the bond they had formed, a bond of trust, courage, and hope. Emma often thought about the old woman who had helped them. She wondered about her past and why she had chosen to trust them with such a powerful secret. Luke said, "Some people see more than we do. They know when to help and when to watch." Emma smiled, feeling grateful for that unexpected help. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky with orange and pink, Luke took Emma's hand. "We've faced so much together," he said softly. "And I believe this land, this place, is our future. Not just because of the treasure, but because of what we've built. Together." Emma looked around at the peaceful ranch, the wide open fields, and the stars beginning to shine. She felt a deep sense of belonging and peace. "I'm ready," she said. "Ready for whatever comes next." Their story was no longer just about a hidden treasure or a land worth protecting. It was about love, courage, and hope rising from the darkest times. And as they stood side by side, Emma and Luke knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, stronger and braver than ever before. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying with it a promise of new beginnings. The unexpected war was over, but their real journey was just beginning.